Hi, I'm Avery,
And I am Lily.
and welcome, boys and girls of every age. Today,
Would you like to? Oh,
and others, obviously, of course.
would you like to see something strange?
Yeah, because today we're covering The Nightmare Before Christmas in January.
It's fine. So, in the previous podcast, I'd probably it's previous to you, but a future recording for us.
We'll
But I'd
see.
probably mention
Actually, no, it's not
um
the previous podcast because the previous podcast is going to be um, our January free movie of the month. It'll be the one before that you're talking about.
no, I'm talking about the free movie of the month. I'm gonna be saying what I would say in the next recording. It's confusing, I know. But it would seem that our Google podcast is up, along with two more that I can't explain how that happened. Anyway, we are now on Breaker and Radio Public.
Yeah. So, that's cool
I'll
and all.
probably be,
Yeah, that's cool and all. You can check down in the description if you are listening to this on YouTube. Uh, and
and if you're listening to this on anywhere else, you can go to our website on Anchor.
yeah. So, like, Anchor has the link to everywhere you can listen to the podcast, even YouTube. And it also has the link to our socials where we should be posting when new episodes come out.
And this should probably be repeat information because I would be saying it in the free movie of the month.
And also, in the description on YouTube, you will find a link to purchase this movie if you want to. You can also stream it on Disney Plus. So there's that.
And if you didn't know, because I marked this as episodic, obviously there's gonna be spoilers. Who would have thunk it?
Oh, yeah. Spoilers in a movie review podcast that typically runs for at least 30 minutes. Who would have thought? Sometimes longer, though. Our Hunger Games episode was over an hour long.
4 minutes, behind the camp one.
Yeah, and that one was a TV show. I wonder if we're ever going to get a movie episode that is longer than a TV show episode.
Well, we can only find out.
Yeah.
So now let's go into Tim Burton's House of Madness. And I was thinking about this while I was watching. This is the first stop motion picture that we've done on the podcast.
And another kind of funny thing. So on the day that we're recording this, I had to go to the library and the grocery store. And on the way back home, I was listening to Spotify. And This Is Halloween started playing. It's like, okay, that is an unbelievable coincidence, but sure. And I mean, obviously, the movie sort of opens with that song. There's a little bit of like a narration before that, but it's not that important.
I mean, we are on Spotify. Maybe it knows.
And I mean, okay, so this movie is a musical, pretty much. And there's always this debate on whether or not it's a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. I mean, the frickin' director says it's a Halloween movie, so that's what I'm going with, and that's why it's not our Christmas special. And since we don't do a
It
Halloween...
starts in Halloween town, so it's a Halloween movie. Deal with it.
And since we don't do a Halloween special, we only do a Christmas special, we are covering this in January, because that's just how the chips fell. That be the way in which things are.
Which ironically, I mean, it still makes somewhat sense. It's still winter. I don't know, it could have been the middle of summer when we covered it. Or spring. That's even farther from both
I
seasons.
mean, it is the middle of summer in the southern hemisphere.
Well, you know what? Anyway,
But yeah, uh, so I don't know if I said it. This movie is a musical. I think
you did.
honestly, I would have to say that in terms of the music in this movie, the only real banger is "This Is Halloween."
Excuse me, princess.
No, like
I no. I even I have listened to Oogie Boogie's song for the past I don't know how hours. It's been hours in my lifetime.
no, see, like I'm not saying they're bad. Like the other songs are bad, but I don't think any of them hold a candle to "This Is Halloween." Like it is by far the best song in the movie. "Kidnap the Sandy Claus" is a pretty entertaining one. "What's This" is also another very entertaining one.
Pretty heavily memed. While I was even watching, I was like, I need to find this again. I was like, the fuck, the fuck, the fuck is in the air, the fuck, the white shit everywhere.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that is a Ninja Panda video, because the Ninja Panda is the one that does all the unnecessary censorship.
No, that's just a like someone edited the movie to actually say that.
Oh, yeah, Ninja Panda just bleeps out random words, and
No, there was actual swearing.
yeah, so it is a bit weird to think of this being a Disney movie. A lot of the time, there are movies that you just wouldn't, typically associate with Disney. It doesn't really follow, any form of the Disney formula. Also, when did this movie come out?
Where you make me look up things.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you look up things. Deal with it.
Fine, we better stall.
But yeah, so in this movie, we have, the town of Halloween, and like every, holiday supposedly has a town. I wonder how far that goes. Just because we only see like a few that actually have, the doors in that little grove of trees.
Um, Released in October 13th, 1993.
Hmm,
Want a little bit of a lore dump?
not really.
Because Oogie Boogie was apparently a part of another town, um, that apparently celebrated bugs.
Okay.
You just can't. And apparently, when everyone stopped believing it, he was like, "Hey, bitch, I'm gonna go evade this holiday." Jack said no and banished him.
But yeah, so we have our town of Halloween, and it looks like Jack Skellington is pretty much, the king of the town, and he's bored.
There's something I've always wondered: how is there a king, but also an elected official?
I mean, the UK exists.
I Okay, but then who has more power? Because it always feels like Jack has more power over the town than the mayor.
Well, I mean, that might just be because the mayor is kind of pathetic.
Also, it's literally established that Jack is dead, and literally one of the songs begins with, "I hope he didn't die." Like, he already dead, bro.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference between dead and dead dead.
I don't know how a skeleton can die when you can literally just rip off his head,
I
but
mean, you are just a skeleton wearing a meat suit.
yeah, but I can't just randomly take off my head. Jack can.
Yeah, you can't take off your head because of the meat suit, but if you weren't wearing the meat suit, you could take off your
I
head.
would die. Because I'm not the skeleton. I am the brain that's piloting a skeleton that's in a meat suit.
But anyway, Jack is bored. Um, so, he wants to do something other than scaring people. So one day he just goes off into the woods and finds a door that leads to Christmas Town, and he gets sucked inside.
So you know how Marvel had this series like What If series?
Hmm.
Now, Disney, get on this. What if Jack Skellington went through a different door?
Yeah, like part of me kind of wanted to see, Jack and Sally in the Valentine's town or whatever.
As a sequel that we never got.
Is it really?
Well, have we gotten it yet?
Well, I mean, like, was it an actual thing that was planned?
Oh, I no. Or at least it could. I don't know. I don't want to do research. Not now.
But, I mean, let's talk about Sally real quick, because the relationship between Sally and that scientist dude is horrifying, honestly.
Interesting, fucked up.
He treats her
But
like his property because he created her, because he creates life
great things.
somehow, and
He's a mad scientist.
and she constantly poisons him. Like,
Yeah, I think the scientist reaching out, or at least creating new life that is somewhat dumb, was a good call there.
yeah, it's like, honestly, that is a pretty horrifying relationship to put into a children's movie.
I mean, honestly, I would not put. If this was a Halloween town, I would not suspect a thing. Like, yes, the scientist and the person that he created who always poisons him. Makes sense.
But yeah, Sally basically has a crush on Jack, understands how he feels and everything. Um, Jack kind of felt like a teenager to me. With Jack and Sally both, they kind of felt like
Hmm.
teenagers to me. So anyway, Jack kind of discovers Christmas. He comes back to Halloween Town, which I'm pretty sure they don't call it Halloween Town. They call it the Town of Halloween, which is kind of funny because later, I'm not sure if it was later, but there is something else called Halloween Town that I believe is also a Disney property. I think it's like a Disney Channel movie series or
I'm
something.
back. And here I'm off, looking that up now.
But yeah, so he, tries to tell, the people in the town of Halloween about Christmas. But he kind of like embellishes it a little bit so that, they can sort of understand it. And of course, they don't
Wait,
really. And, he gets it in his head that he wants to
huh.
do. He gets it in his head that he wants the people of the town of Halloween to do Christmas this year. So he instructs some little kids to kidnap Santa Claus.
So, about an update on Halloween Town. Halloween Town is a 1998 Disney Channel original movie.
See,
Now, mind came out 5 years after Nightmare Before Christmas.
hmm, Whether we cover Disney Channel original movies on the podcast or not is completely up in the air.
Probably not this one. And I severely do not want to touch the High School Musicals.
Yeah, we're not doing High School Musical. Halloween Town would certainly be on the table, but
I don't know what it is, so. Do you know exactly what it is, or
not
you just know
really.
that it existed?
I know that it existed. I know that I saw. I know that I saw at least one of them as a kid, and I don't remember shit. So. Yeah. So anyway, he instructs these kids to kidnap Santa Claus, but instead they kidnap the Easter Bunny.
Which, in this moment, you really do see why Jack is the king, the Pumpkin King. His scares are good.
But yeah, so while while Jack is just kind of experimenting and stuff, Sally picks a flower. The flower suddenly transforms into
A
a
magical, beautiful
Christmassy,
Christmas tree.
yeah, and then it sets itself on fire.
That prophecy will not be used later in the movie. I'm pretty sure it'll all be fine.
Yeah,
Wait.
everything will be fine. Nothing bad will happen. Ever.
Anyway, 15 more minutes in the movie and something bad happens. But before we go that, the three little children accomplished their mission, got Santa Claus, and did the one thing that they were not supposed to do.
Brought him to the boogeyman.
And let me say, damn, I loved Oogie Boogie. I already said how much I love his song, but damn, I love him.
But yeah, essentially, Jack tries to, do Christmas. His ghost dog Zero quite literally becomes Rudolph. And, of course, Sally's like very worried about him. And so literally he ends up scaring every child who even tries, who he even tries to give a gift to. And eventually the military is called, which military, I don't know.
So, welcome, children, the only children's movie that involves bombing down Santa.
But see, it's Imposter Santa.
Oh, sorry, imposter Santa.
Yes.
And still bombed him down.
I mean, they bombed him down. Santa was the imposter. Hey, that's an Among Us reference.
God, now we have a bunch of Among Us jokes in the comments. Joking because we don't get comments.
Yeah. Making Among Us references in 2022.
How cringe.
Did you just say quinge?
Also, to be fair, we're making them in 2021. They're just hearing it in 2022.
You aren't supposed to tell them that.
What is it, breaking the fourth wall?
Yeah, and the fifth one.
The fifth wall.
But anyway, they shoot down Jack, and it's like, oh, Jack kind of sort of realizes that, he is the Pumpkin King. What he's good at is Halloween and scaring people.
He did a good job at that. He scared most of the public.
Yeah, so he goes home, frees Santa and Sally from The Boogeyman.
My bugs, my bugs.
And then, Santa goes off to essentially save Christmas. And Sally and Jack have their song on this weird thing that I don't really know how to describe it.
It's Hill?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think too many hills like just kind of hang suspended in the air like that.
Yeah. But counterpoint, do you live in Halloween Town?
No, I guess it. I guess it could be like a cliff, but it's weird looking. It does whatever.
Serves its purpose.
Yeah, but yeah.
Jesus, we're about to become our shortest podcast yet if we don't add some more fluff to
Oh,
it.
we're gonna add some more fluff because I do want to talk about something that I think is really awesome about this movie. Typically, in a lot of movies, when there is a subplot of a straight romance, you usually have the guy trying to win over the girl. And it's really refreshing to see that the other way around, especially in a movie that came out in the 90s. Because, you just don't see it too often. And it's kind of nice to see it this time around.
I kind of liked Jack in this. Obviously, the misguided person, but all he really was just bored.
Yeah, he was bored. He wanted to find something to break up the monotony of it.
I mean, who knows how long, like how many years he has to go through, each Halloween. Like, it sounded like a long time, celebrating this holiday.
Yeah, and also there's that whole moment too where like the military has successfully shot him down and everyone thinks he's dead, but he's not.
It's a surprise, surprise. You can't get rid of this bitch easy.
Yeah.
Though, a bitch you can get rid of easily, unless you're playing any of the games or Kingdom Hearts. I mean, Oogie Boogie was just like, okay, bye. And Jack's like, nah.
Yeah. See, like now
Yeah,
I also kind of wonder if they ever made a Disney Infinity figure for Jack or Sally.
yes, don't know. I I do know, I absolutely know Jack because I played as him.
Cool.
I'll send it to you after the podcast.
But anyway, yeah. So this movie certainly this movie is certainly great. Absolutely. For
Tim Burton is certainly great.
Tim Burton has this sort of style with his movies that just like some people aren't much into. It bothers some people, and then the people it doesn't bother really, really tend to love his movies. He also did a Batman movie back in the 80s that we might cover at some point.
Might. No, I'm actually kind of interested. I just know I actually do really like stop motion, and I think this movie really encompasses every reason why stop motion is still good.
See, okay, I'm not really much of a fan of stop motion. This is like one of the exceptions for me.
Makes sense.
And I really wish speaking of stop motion, I really wish I remembered what story the Island of Misfit Toys comes from. Because we made a reference to it in our Polar Express episode because we had the train car of Misfit Toys.
Mm. Oh, oh no. This, I forgot if you said we're not doing any of this.
Yeah, we are probably not going to be covering a lot of those stop motion Christmas movies.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Seems a little weird, but all right.
Ooh, 2001, not rated. Okay then.
But yeah, the problem with the stop motion Christmas movies is that there are just
A lot of
so
them.
many of them. And I don't really want to waste time watching, movies that very few people like have ever heard of or would care about doing a review of, especially occupying our Christmas special slot, which could be better served for, you know, more well-known Christmas movies or Christmas movies that are newer.
Hmm.
Because next year, this year, our Christmas special is going to be Elf. Um, and I mean, I'm saying that all the way in January, but yeah, obviously we're going to talk about Elf. We kind of have to.
So, and also, if we do cover any of those, it's gonna be like one of the more well known because I'm not covering anything that is like super unknown.
Yeah.
Stop motion Christmas is gonna be in the middle of July.
But um, yeah. So we will certainly be covering some movies that aren't very well known on this podcast. But
Christmas stop motion ain't one of them,
yeah,
unless like maybe the super popular ones, but that's a very big if.
but yeah. So regarding The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think this movie like I was saying earlier, I think this movie is a bit of a weird one to fall under the Disney umbrella because, how many other stop motion movies does Disney even have? Because
And something I actually noticed, they don't actually Disney doesn't call it, Disney's Nightmare Before Christmas. They call it Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, which I find that very interesting.
and when I was watching this on Disney Plus, they had the modern Disney Castle logo at the beginning, and I was like, oh, that's weird. They must be using a re-release version because I could have sworn this movie came out in the '90s, and that's not the '90s Disney logo. They didn't start using that logo until 2007.
Hmm,
But yeah,
weird.
this movie is much more associated with Tim Burton than it is with Disney. Um, and Tim Burton's certainly a bit of a wild one, shall we say. Um,
Well, yeah, you released this.
yeah. So, what is your relationship like? Tell me how this movie was part of your childhood or whatever.
Good question. And I answer that with this is actually my mom's favorite movie.
Is it?
Yeah. So I've been and it's not just that. I remember I think it was out my parents were no, no, that's a lie. No, it wasn't born then. But I do remember my parents were watching this while they were as a date as I heard stories.
Ah, I mean, that would be a pretty satisfying date, to be honest.
Though and I was born after they started dating, so I should know that I was not born in the 90s.
I was, but
I know you
not
were.
not before this movie. Um, but yeah. So when did you first see this movie?
Oh gods, I don't know. Honestly, I think because my past it becomes clear, it honestly just feels like I've always known this movie.
Yeah. I actually didn't see this movie until I got into high school.
Hmm.
And like I knew about it and stuff, but like um my family just didn't have it on DVD or anything. Um so I never watched it. And I never saw it like coming up on TV when we eventually got, you know, direct TV. Um so
DirecTV.
yeah. So I never got a chance to watch it until high school. So it wasn't really a big part of my childhood. It is certainly an excellent movie, and I understand how it became a big part of so many people's childhood. Because like it's excellent. There are some other movies that become like big parts of people's childhood, including mine, that I look back on now and I question how the fuck this affected so many people. And one of those movies we will cover at some point, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Amazingly, I don't know.
Like, how
Um,
the fuck did that movie come to be as popular as it did?
though I will, and I find it funny how you say that you didn't have any DVDs, because there is currently a DVD of Nightmare Before Christmas staring me down
So, in preparation for this podcast, did you watch the movie on DVD or on Disney Plus?
on Disney Plus. Is much more convenient.
Yeah, there have been a few episodes in like our catalog where I watched the movie on DVD instead of on whatever streaming service. I think I did that with Scott Pilgrim,
Oh,
actually.
God damn it! I should have. I don't know what I was thinking. Could have listened to the bonus features. Oh well,
I
missed
mean,
opportunity.
that would certainly be something because I haven't ever actually seen any of the bonus features for this movie. So like any weird obscure facts about this movie, I don't really know. Um,
I only know the weird obscure facts from the video games because apparently they decided to add lore there. I don't know.
so what's the world like in Kingdom Hearts?
Ah, that's in Kingdom Hearts 1. It's actually just about as you expect. I mean, I actually like if you looked at the movie and then looked at Kingdom Hearts, you could swear it was a one-to-one adaptation. Saying that out loud though, it's stop motion. They probably made it that way. That's probably how they made the
Oh
environment.
god, did they make a stop motion Sora for when he's in that world?
No, but they did give him a nightmare skin.
Okay.
I can show it if you want
Uh
after podcast.
yeah, maybe I'll see it later.
And though I don't want to say I forgot if you actually go to the okay in Kingdom Hearts 1 you definitely probably go to the Christmas world. I obviously know that you go to the Christmas world in Kingdom Hearts 2. That's where like most of the story takes place. Um,
So wait, the Christmas town and Halloween town, they are their own different worlds in Kingdom
oh,
Hearts?
sorry. Worlds is a touchy subject in Kingdom Hearts. No.
Okay. And while we were talking about this, the relationship with Kingdom Hearts, I just kind of had a thought. You know what
Eh,
else this movie reminds me of?
and what's that?
Wreck-It Ralph.
Hmm.
Cuz
I huh.
like you have like this central hub somewhere where typically you don't see your characters. In this central hub in the Nightmare Before Christmas, but it is where you go into these different towns of relating to the different holidays, and that's pretty similar to the central hub in Wreck-It Ralph, where you have all these different doors that lead to the worlds of different video games. But then,
I
like,
should mention,
but then, like, that's not an entirely foreign concept because, like, you also have a similar thing in the Narnia books because there is like a central hub there that can lead you to multiple different worlds.
hmm,
Unfortunately, that book that was in never got adapted to a film because Disney made the first adaptation, the which was the second book because they adapted the books in the order they were written, um, not the order they were meant to be read. And it's weird because the author didn't write the books in the order they were meant to be read. But anyway, they adapted the second.
weird.
Yeah, they adapted the second book first, and then somehow Fox got a hold of the franchise and they adapted the fourth book and the fifth book. And of course, this is still going by the order they were written. And they did an okay job adapting the fourth book. It's not the best, like it's not one of the best book to movie adaptations, but it's passable. And then the fifth one, they just completely fucked it up, and they didn't make enough money, so they didn't continue adapting the series. And we
Can
never
I just. Sorry, I'll actually let you finish.
and we never got to see The Magician's Nephew get adapted, and that would have had a similar concept to this little hub where you can go to different worlds.
Yeah, something I remembered. And I just want to say, there's not a centralized hub. Because if you remember it, it's the Halloween Town stores. And I'm going to assume that every other, kind of holiday world has their own doors leading to their other holidays. So I guess when I say centralized, still a bit of a hub though.
Yeah, and I really wish we got to see the towns for other holidays, particularly Valentine's Day. Easter might have been kind of funny. Um,
I'm just glad we got to see the Easter Bunny.
yeah, and then there's one for St. Patrick's Day. I saw that too, which, like, what is everything just green?
I mean, there
Or
there
do they
has to
go
be a
into.
bunch of
Uh, mm,
there has to be a bunch of like oh my god, why am I blanking on the word?
clovers?
No, no, the people, rainbows under the rainbow.
Leprechaun?
Thank you, leprechauns.
Goodness, Lily, that's. Mm. But yeah, like there's definitely a lot of
Very,
potential for, you know, exploring the other towns. And in a way, it is disappointing that, they never get explored. But then at the same time, it's also kind of a relief that they didn't milk this movie for as much money as they could.
yeah, they really just made. All right, let's make a good movie and let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's make a good movie. Obviously, let's bring it into Kingdom Hearts. Maybe sell a couple of toys. And
Oh, and don't forget, make two video games of their own.
mm, honestly,
Okay, two or one. I'm not actually sure on the number. It was at least one.
but yeah, so I think we've just about covered almost everything. This movie's certainly great. Um, I'd have to consider whether I'd put it in my top 50 favorite movies of all time. Probably not. It's a great
Hmm.
movie, but like I very rarely, have an urge to sit down and watch it. I mean, I'm not opposed to watching it. I enjoy this movie.
A lot more musical than I remembered.
Yeah, like I do enjoy this movie, but there's nothing about this movie that like I'm really jonesing to hop back into and watch again. And I
Yeah, I'd
think,
rather have the soundtrack on my Spotify playlist.
yeah, and I do have a version of this Is Halloween on Spotify. Um,
But why don't I have Oogie Boogie song on Spotify? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, that's true. What are you doing with your life?
Apparently making a podcast.
Yeah, nerd.
Says the other person making a podcast.
But yeah, part of the reason I feel like I don't really have like a constant desire to go back and watch this movie is partly because it's like like I said earlier, I'm not really that much of a fan of the stop motion style of um, movie.
Hmm.
So it's like this is a one exception to it. I do very much enjoy this movie, despite it being stop motion.
And I'll be honest, I actually planned a rating before we started.
Yeah, I did as well, but I usually.
Well, that's you usually do. This is impressive for me.
All right, so if you have nothing else to say, I guess you can get into rating it.
I would say it's nothing like the Legion movies that I extremely adore, but it's not going to be in the movies that I think are piss poor. So I give it a 7.8.
Too much water.
Yeah, with too much water.
um, I actually was going to. I'm actually rating this movie higher, surprisingly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I am giving this movie an 8.3. I like this movie. I really do like this movie, but I don't love this movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that's the same feeling for me. Like I really love this movie. I love everything it does. But at the end of the day, it's just a Halloween movie, it's just I think that's enough said.
Yeah. So we're going to spin the wheel for the next movie that we cover, potentially. I mean, the next movie that we cover from the wheel anyway. I've lost track of what dates there are, so I'm not sure if our next week's episode is going to be whatever we get the wheel on, or if it's going to be Gravity Falls.
It's the next. Yeah. So this should be releasing on the 17th, and the 24th will be the wheel, and the 31st will be um Gravity Falls.
Okay, so January is going to be a month with 5 Mondays. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, so let's spin our wheel of movies and see what it lands on. Oh no.
Oh no.
Lily,
Avory.
it's finally time.
I know the reaction.
We're covering The Lightning Thief.
I know it.
Oh,
Honestly, I was gonna make the jokes like, oh no, oh no, oh yeah, but I really cannot make that with this movie.
yeah. And you haven't seen it, right? I, I,
I have not seen this movie.
yeah. So this should be interesting. I watched this movie in theaters, but yeah, we will see you guys next week. Until then, I've been Avery, and that's been Lily. And don't go invading other holidays.
Just ask Sally for advice.